Okay, our rant on Black Mirror this season continues with the episode 4 known as Plaything. And this is an episode that was incredibly dark in its storytelling, and however, I think it fits. This is one of those episodes that's done with a very kind of, I feel like the filter is very gray, and it's trying to show, and it's really going out of its way to be very dystopian, for a good reason. I'm going to try and explain what happens in this story, and I have to admit, I did feel a sense of nostalgia over this, because this episode starts out in the future, like maybe 30 or 40 years, maybe 30, 40 years from 1990 or something like that. In other words, because we start out with the characters like in the 90s or something like that, and then we are showing this character as an older man, played by Peter Capaldi, who I think was a Doctor Who or something, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so it starts out with this old guy going into a shop and then just taking something from the shelf and then trying to leave with it. Well, apparently the technology sees that this is a shoplift, and then the doors of the store just shut, locking him in the store. And I kind of went like, okay, do we have this technology now? I kind of went like, I feel like we would have something like this. I mean, because honestly, we have cases like this where like if you try and like get out of there, like if you like take certain items from the store and they're tagged in a certain way, an alarm will go off. And when that alarm goes off, you know, the doors don't shut. I feel like the doors still stay open. Because I feel like if the doors were to shut, then you couldn't let other customers in, which would kind of create why would you even have this store? So, but the cops show up quite quickly, actually, as I recall. They might have done a cut there, and they arrest this guy. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to kind of reveal, because if you know my rants, I do reveal the endings on this. But I will have to say, like, when I saw this happening, I kind of went like, okay, this guy wants to get arrested, so that means something. So immediately I kind of went like, okay, why does he want to get arrested? This was one of those things where I felt like there's a big twist on the ending, but I felt like the twist was given form at the beginning, because I kind of felt like, okay, I actually believe this. Okay, he's obviously doing this. What is it leading up to? Well, you're going to find out. So, and then the rest of the thing is kind of told in a framing device where they take in this old man and they ask him to explain, like, okay, why'd you do it, guy? And then he explains who he was. Apparently in the 90s, he was a reporter for a magazine or something, or maybe even a website. Feels a bit like Wired, but apparently it was a big gaming thing. And he was one of their big gaming reporters. I guess he had a really good reputation. And one day they asked him to talk with the head of some computer gaming company that he's always idolized, and he's going to play this new game. And this new game is called Thronglets. And Thronglets it reminds me of a game called Lemmings, but essentially Thronglets is apparently like creating like this virtual world, and there's beings in this virtual world. And these beings, like, they're just these fuzzy things that just kind of wander around this kind of world, and they talk to each other. So I guess it's kind of like sort of a cross between, I don't know, sort of like Minecraft and Furbies, really, is what we're doing, but more on a 2D scale. And now the main character, as a youth, has a friend who comes over, and I forget his name, but I think his name it's a really dumb name. Lump, I think, is his name, and I guess that's an alias. Apparently Lump deals in LSD, and so one day the main character, Cameron, this is the first time I've actually said the name, takes some LSD, and he starts to have a trip, and in this trip he actually believes the Thronglets are starting to talk to him, like he can understand the language of the Thronglets, which just do these kind of sounds, and but he can apparently understand them. And not only that, the Thronglets are starting to tell him things. This is the thing. And also, to make things even more mysterious, the guy that created the game, the president of that video game company, apparently committed suicide. So yeah, so as a result, the game is not going to be released, and so this guy is basically told, okay, you don't have to write the article anymore, and I guess they're planning on paying him. But as I recall, Cameron is told by his boss, you're off the hook. But unfortunately, Cameron is really addicted to this game. And they show Cameron essentially going through the years, upgrading his computer constantly to make it so that the Thronglets have this very I don't know. I guess the point of it is that the Thronglets need to thrive in their world. And you know how games like get upgrades and stuff like that? Well, the Thronglets are apparently like a living organism here. And what happened before this, getting a little bit out of here, is his friend Lump, once when Cameron wasn't home, discovers that Cameron has this cool game, and he goes in with the Thronglets and then starts essentially trashing them and starts playing Mad God in them and starts destroying their world. And Cameron gets super upset at this and kills Lump. And he manages to do it in such a way that he doesn't get discovered. Now, remember how I said this is a framing device? Well, Cameron does admit to this stuff. And while they have Cameron in custody, there's cops going over to Cameron's place, and they're looking at his place. And we see that Cameron's place is it's just filled with wires and all this kind of dystopian style kind of tech coming out of here. It's all connected to the Thronglets, which are apparently still in their thing, and they're kind of doing their stuff. Remember I said that Cameron can essentially hear these Thronglets. Apparently these Thronglets are evolving, and they are figuring out how to master technology and stuff like that. And it's kind of really interesting. I kind of like the concept behind this thing. And the Thronglets are not designed to be anything threatening. They're designed to be super cute. And yeah, I think that's kind of cool. So here's the thing that I kind of saw what was happening here, and I have to admit the ending of this, and I'm going to get to the ending a little bit sooner than I normally do. Normally I spoil things at the 9-minute mark. It's kind of my thing. But I have to say, like, I didn't really think that this was a good ending. But essentially, while Cameron is being interviewed as an old man in that framing device place, he's constantly asking for a pen to do something. So here's the thing. He's going to write down some important information. And I knew it's like, why is he asking for a pen all the time? And I'm going like, okay, that's going to be important. Is he going to stab somebody with that pen? What's he going to do? Well, no. What he does is he takes a piece of paper, and I believe he says he's going to write down certain things on this piece of paper. What he writes down is essentially one big code. You know, like a QR code, those kind of types you scan to find out stuff. And the next thing he does is he takes the QR code and holds it up to the security camera in the room. And from there, this security camera allows that code used right there, which could have been used in any camera, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know what? Now I realize this. Why do you allow himself to get caught again? Couldn't he have just made that? Okay, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, apparently when he uses that code, this allows the Thronglets to basically take over everything. And I mean everything. And I mean, like, they will literally go inside your head and take over. And I don't remember how this is done or how this is accomplished. I think there is actually a bit of technology involved here. So the Thronglets essentially take over the entire world, and they make it kind of a utopia, or at least that's what we're told that is what happened here. And that's how this episode ends. Now, for me, I'm going like, okay, why do you have to get caught? Couldn't he have just, okay, I understand that maybe he had to show this, why couldn't the Thronglets do this without this, why did he have to go outside in the real world and put a code there? To me, I'm going like, why couldn't you have just done that from your computer? I just kind of went like, I don't really understand why he did that. I just kind of felt like that we got to get the framing device in there somewhere. So I kind of went like, this is one of those times where I think like this episode kind of fails because the technology, if you think about it, doesn't really make that much sense. But then again, I guess it's Black Mirror sometimes.